Hello. My name is Ethan Carter, and at 34 I've learned that life doesn't hand you second chances. It just keeps moving whether you're ready or not. It's a Friday night in late October, and the wind off Lake Michigan is rattling the windows of my tiny two-bedroom apartment in West Loop, Chicago. The place isn't much cracked linoleum in the kitchen, a couch that sags in the middle, and a coffee table permanently scarred with crayon marks. But it's home, and right now it's filled with the soft glow of a single lamp and the sound of my daughter Rosie's laughter. Rosie is 8, all freckles and missing front teeth, and she's currently destroying me at checkers on the living room floor. She's wearing her favorite dinosaur pajamas, the ones with the torn sleeves she refuses to throw away because T-Rex needs to breathe. I'm losing on purpose, of course, letting her jump 3 of my pieces in a row just to see that triumphant grin. The clock on the wall says 1:47 a.m. Way past her bedtime, but Fridays are our night. No school tomorrow, no alarms, just us. King me, she squeals, slapping a red checker on top of another. I groan dramatically and reach for the box of leftover pizza on the table. Cold pepperoni never tasted better. That's when my phone starts vibrating. Once, twice, 3 times. I glance at the screen and freeze. Amelia Blake, my boss, the woman who once made a junior copywriter cry in a pitch meeting because he used the word synergy incorrectly. The same woman who's been writing me for months about missed deadlines and lack of commitment ever since I asked for flexible hours to pick Rosie up from school. Amelia Blake does not call at 2 in the morning. Amelia Blake doesn't call at all. I silence it. It rings again. Rosie looks up curious. "Who is it, Daddy?" "Work," I mutter, already standing. Probably a glitch. "Go brush your teeth, kiddo. I'll be right back." She pouts, but obeys, shuffling toward the bathroom. I step into the hallway, thumb hovering over the screen. 7 missed calls, a string of texts. Amelia Ethan, Amelia pickup. Amelia, I need help, please. The last one is just a location pin, Velvet Ivy, a bar in River North I've never been to. My stomach drops. Amelia Blake doesn't ask for help. She gives orders. She fires people. She doesn't text please to a mid-level designer who's barely scraping by. I'm already grabbing my keys. Rosy change of plans, I call out. "You're sleeping at Mrs. Delgado's tonight. Our neighbor, a retired nurse with a soft spot for Rosie, is used to these emergencies." She answers on the first ring. No questions asked. 10 minutes later, Rosie is tucked into Mrs. D's guest bed with her stuffed triceratops, and I'm in my beat-up Honda Civic weaving through empty streets toward the glittering lights of downtown. Velvet Ivy is one of those places that tries too hard velvet ropes, pulsing bass bartenders in bow ties. I spot Amelia immediately. She's at the far end of the bar, slumped over a half-empty glass of something dark. Her white silk blouse is untucked and wrinkled, one sleeve rolled up unevenly. Her hair, usually pinned in a severe bun, is loose and tangled, falling over her face. She looks small, not the Ice Queen creative director who once told me my font choices were an assault on good taste. I push through the crowd. Amelia, she lifts her head slowly, eyes glassy but sharp. "Ethan." Her voice is slurred, but there's relief in it. "You came?" "Of course I came. What the hell's going on?" She tries to stand, wobbles, and grabs my arm. Her fingers dig in like she's afraid I'll vanish. I can't drive. They took my keys, but I need to go home. "You're not driving anywhere," I say, steering her toward the exit. The bartender gives me a grateful nod. Outside, the cold hits us like a slap. Amelia shivers and leans into me, her head against my shoulder. She smells like whiskey and something floral I can't place. "I knew you'd come," she mumbles. "You're decent, the only decent one." I get her into the passenger seat. She curls up immediately, knees to chest, eyes fluttering shut. I'm buckling her seatbelt when I notice a man across the street, tall gray suit, phone raised. The flash is subtle, but I see it. He lowers the phone and disappears into the shadows before I can react. Amelia's already asleep by the time I pull away from the curb. Her breathing is steady, but her hand is still clutching my sleeve like a lifeline. I drive in silence, the city lights blurring past. My mind is racing. Why me? Why tonight? And who the hell was that guy with the camera? I glance at her again. In the glow of passing streetlights, she looks younger than 41. Vulnerable. Human. Nothing like the woman who once told me fatherhood isn't an excuse for mediocrity, Ethan. I don't know it yet, but everything's about to change. because by morning Amelia Blake won't just be my boss anymore, and that man across the street, he's about to make sure the whole world knows it. I've never been good at letting go. That's probably why I still have the voicemail from Sarah, my wife, saved on an old phone I can't bring myself to delete. It's just her laughing saying, "Don't forget the milk loser from 3 years ago." 3 years, 2 months, and 11 days to be exact. That's how long it's been since the night a drunk driver on I-90 turned my life into before and after. Before I was Ethan Carter, 31 rising star at a tech startup in the Loop. I had a corner office, a team of 5, and a pitch deck that got me invited to TEDx. Sarah and I were saving for a house in Oak Park, talking about baby number 2. Rosie was 5, obsessed with dinosaurs and drawing on every surface she could reach. We were happy, stupidly, perfectly happy. Then the call came at 2:17 a.m., not from Sarah, but from a state trooper. I remember the exact time because I was up late finishing a campaign for a vegan meat brand. The officer's voice was flat, like he'd said the words too many times. "There's been an accident. I'm sorry. I don't remember driving to the hospital. I just remember arriving, shoes untied, Rosie asleep in my arms, and a nurse leading me to a room where Sarah lay under a sheet that was too white." After that, everything blurred. I quit the startup the next week. Couldn't stand the sight of my own reflection in the glass walls. Sold the condo, moved into this apartment, took the first job that let me leave by 3 p.m. to pick Rosie up from school. Atlas Media hired me as a mid-level designer. Creative grunt work, no glory. It paid the bills and kept me close to her. That was enough. Amelia Blake was the first person I met on my first day. She strode into the bullpen like she owned gravity itself, heels clicking, voice slicing through the chatter. "If your mock-up isn't on my desk by 9, don't bother coming in tomorrow." She didn't even look at me. I was just another cog. When I requested flexible hours 6 months later, Rosie had started having nightmares. Amelia's response was a single email. "Fatherhood isn't an excuse for mediocrity, Ethan." I printed it out and stuck it on my fridge as a reminder to never ask again. I didn't know her story then. Didn't care to. All I knew was she was the reason I worked weekends, the reason my half-finished children's book, about a girl who befriends a lonely T-Rex, gathered dust in a drawer. Amelia didn't have kids, didn't have pets, didn't have anything soft as far as I could tell. She was steel and deadlines, and good isn't good enough. But steel has cracks. Amelia grew up in a penthouse overlooking Lakeshore Drive, the only child of Richard Blake, real estate tycoon and world-class bastard. Her mother died when she was 12. Ovarian cancer, fast and merciless. Richard's response was to send Amelia to boarding school in Connecticut and tell her tears are for people who lose. She learned early that weakness was a luxury she couldn't afford. By 25, she was running creative for a rival agency. By 30, she'd poached half their clients. By 35, she was at Atlas Untouchable. She never talked about her mother, not once. But every year on October 27th, the anniversary, she'd disappear from the office by noon. No one knew where she went. No one asked. We just assumed she had a standing date with a bottle of Macallan in a hotel suite. This year was different. This year she broke. I didn't know any of this when I carried her out of Velvet Ivy. Didn't know that the bar was the same one her mother used to take her to for hot chocolate after piano recitals. Didn't know that the song playing, some old jazz standard, was the last one her mother ever hummed. All I knew was that the woman who'd made my life hell for 3 years was now asleep in my passenger seat, clutching my jacket like it was the only thing keeping her from falling apart. I glanced at her as I stopped at a red light. Her face was slack mascara smudged under one eye. She looked tired. Not the polished, terrifying Amelia who could eviscerate a pitch in 10 seconds flat. Just a woman who'd had too much to drink and nowhere to go. I thought about waking her, asking what the hell happened. But she was out cold, and Rosie was waiting at Mrs. D's. So I drove to Amelia's building, a sleek high-rise in the Gold Coast I'd only ever seen on Google Maps, and half-carried her to the elevator. The doorman didn't blink, probably used to it. Her apartment was exactly what I expected, floor-to-ceiling windows, minimalist furniture, not a single personal photo. I laid her on the couch, pulled off her heels, draped a throw blanket over her. She stirred once, murmured something that sounded like, "I'm sorry," then rolled over and was gone again. I stood there longer than I should have, watching the rise and fall of her breathing. For the first time, I saw her not as my boss, not as the dragon lady who denied my raise twice, but as someone who might be just as broken as I was, just better at hiding it. I left before the sun came up. Didn't think she'd remember any of it, didn't think it mattered. I was wrong. Monday morning hit like a hangover I didn't earn. I rolled into the Atlas Media office at 8:57, Thai crooked coffee sloshing in a travel mug Rosie had decorated with dinosaur stickers. The bullpen was already buzzing keyboards, clacking phones, ringing, someone yelling about a misprinted banner. I kept my head down, same as always, and dropped into my cubicle. That's when I saw it. A second cup on my desk, black coffee. No sugar lid, still warm. A sticky note in sharp slanted handwriting. Thanks for the ride. A. I stared at it like it might explode. Amelia Blake didn't do thank yous. She did performance reviews and passive-aggressive Slack messages. I looked around. No one was watching, then peeled the note off and slipped it into my pocket. At 9:15, my inbox pinged. Meeting request Amelia Blake, 9:30 conference room C. No agenda. My stomach flipped. Was this about the bar? Was I getting fired for seeing my boss drunk? I grabbed my laptop and walked the gauntlet of glass walls to the conference room. Amelia was already there, standing by the window city skyline behind her like a postcard. She'd swapped Friday's wrinkled blouse for a charcoal blazer and silk camisole hair back in its severe bun. But her eyes were different, softer, or maybe I was imagining it. Close the door, she said. I did, the click echoed. She didn't sit, neither did I. I owe you an apology, she started, voice low. Friday was unprofessional. You didn't have to come. You asked for help, I said. I came. She nodded once. I looked at your file this weekend, all of it, your old campaigns, the startup awards, the children's book draft you submitted to HR as a personal project. She paused. You're wasted in mid-level. I opened my mouth, closed it. This wasn't the script I'd rehearsed. I'm giving you creative lead on the new Nature's Path campaign, she continued. 40% raise, flexible hours. You report directly to me. And she slid a folder across the table. Full creative control, no committees, no Oliver breathing down your neck. Oliver, the guy who'd been gunning for my job since I started. I stared at the folder like it was written in another language. Why, I asked. She looked out the window. Because I was wrong about you. And because I need someone I can trust. I took the folder. My hands weren't shaking. Much. That afternoon, I picked Rosie up from school early to celebrate. She wanted dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets. We ate them on the living room floor while I tried to explain what a promotion meant. She mostly cared that I'd be home more. Tuesday, a package arrived at the apartment. Inside, a deluxe set of watercolor pencils and a note in the same slanted handwriting for Rosie. Tell her the T-Rex can be purple if she wants. A. Rosie squealed. I stared at the note too long. Wednesday, Amelia appeared at the edge of my cubicle at 4:55 p.m. I'm heading out. Need a ride? I blinked. I take the L. Not today. She dangled keys. I owe you gas money. I should have said no. Instead, I texted Mrs. D to keep Rosie an extra hour. The ride was quiet at first. Amelia drove a silver Audi that smelled like leather and something citrusy. She didn't speak until we hit the Eisenhower. I used to draw, she said suddenly. When I was Rosie's age. My mom kept every sketch. After she died, my dad threw them out, said they were clutter. I didn't know what to say, so I didn't. She glanced over. What's the book about, I told her. The lonely T-Rex who befriends a girl who's scared of storms. Amelia listened without interrupting. When I finished, she nodded. Finish it. Thursday, she showed up at my apartment unannounced. 6:30 p.m., holding a paper bag from a Polish deli. Chicken soup, she announced. My mother's recipe. Rosie said she likes soup. Rosie, traitor that she is, had apparently befriended Amelia over FaceTime during a school project. I hadn't authorized that. Amelia cooked while I set the table. Rosie set an extra place for Mr. T-Rex, her stuffed dinosaur. Amelia didn't blink. She ladled soup, asked Rosie about her day, laughed when Rosie demonstrated how T-Rex roars with a missing tooth. I stood in the doorway watching, feeling like I'd stepped into someone else's life. After Rosie went to bed, Amelia lingered by the sink. I should go. You don't have to. She looked at me, then really looked. I don't know how to do this, Ethan. Be human. Around people. Around you. I took the dish towel from her hands. Start with soup. You're already ahead. She smiled. Small reel. and for the first time I saw the woman behind the armor. Friday we stayed late at the office brainstorming the Nature's Path campaign, just us whiteboards take out Ty. At 11 p.m. she kicked off her heels and sat cross-legged on the conference table, marker in hand. I sketched on my tablet. Somewhere between mood boards and color palettes, our knees touched. Neither of us moved away. Saturday she came to Rosie's soccer game, showed up in jeans and a Northwestern hoodie hair and a ponytail holding a sign that said, "Go Rosie number 8. Rosie scored a goal and ran straight into Amelia's arms. I took a photo. Didn't realize until later that Amelia was crying. That night after Rosie was asleep, Amelia sat on my couch with a glass of wine. I had a beer. We didn't talk about work. I used to think success meant never needing anyone, she said. Turns out it just means never letting anyone in. I set my beer down. "You're in now." She looked at me, eyes glassy. "I don't want to mess this up." "You won't." She leaned over, slow, deliberate, and kissed me. Soft, tentative, like she was asking permission. I kissed her back. The world didn't stop. It just got quieter. We didn't sleep together. Not yet. She left at 1 a.m. with a promise to bring pancakes Sunday. I watched her drive away, heart pounding, like I was 16 again. Monday, everything felt possible. The campaign was shaping up. Rosie asked if Amelia could come to career day. I said maybe. I didn't see the email coming, the one that would burn it all down. The email arrived at 7:03 a.m. on a Tuesday that started like any other. I was pouring Rosie's cereal, half listening to her recap of a dream involving a T-Rex astronaut, when my phone buzzed on the counter. Subject line, urgent, board review, Ethan Carter. I opened it in the bathroom door, locked, heart already sprinting. The message was from HR, please report to conference room A at 9:00 a.m. for a formal review of your recent promotion. Attendance mandatory. No details, no signature. Just a calendar invite I couldn't decline. I dropped Rosie at school in a daze. She waved from the curb, backpack bouncing. Tell Amelia I drew her a spaceship. I managed a thumbs up and drove downtown on autopilot. Atlas Media's headquarters looked colder than usual. The glass walls reflected a gray sky, and the lobby's marble floor echoed my footsteps like accusations. I took the elevator to the 32nd floor, badge trembling in my hand. Conference room A was already full. 8 board members in suits that cost more than my car. Amelia sat at the far end, hands folded, face unreadable. Oliver Grant, head of planning, Amelia's ex and the office's resident shark, leaned back in his chair smirking like he'd won something. The HR director, a woman named Patel I'd never spoken to, cleared her throat. "Mr. Carter, we've received concerns regarding the circumstances of your recent promotion to creative lead." She clicked a remote. A projector screen lit up with photos of me half carrying Amelia out of velvet ivy, her arms around my neck, my hand on her waist. Another of us in her Audi, her head on my shoulder. A third, grainy but unmistakable, of Amelia kissing me on my couch taken through the living room window. My stomach dropped through the floor. These images, Patel continued, were emailed anonymously to the board late Friday. The sender claims you've engaged in an inappropriate relationship with Ms. Blake to secure professional advantages. Oliver leaned forward. Classic case of sleeping your way to the top, wouldn't you say, Ethan? I looked at Amelia. Her jaw was tight, eyes fixed on the table. She didn't speak. Ms. Blake, the chairman, said, "Do you have a statement?" Silence stretched like a wire about to snap. I waited for her to say something, anything. He's lying. The photos are out of context. Ethan earned this. Instead, she said, I stand by my decision to promote Mr. Carter based on merit. The personal nature of our relationship outside work is irrelevant to his performance. The room erupted in murmurs. Irrelevant. She'd just thrown me under the bus. Oliver slid a folder across the table. We have texts, too. See you tonight. Bring the red heels. Ring any bells, I hadn't sent those. I'd never seen them, but the timestamps matched nights I'd been at her place. Someone had hacked us, or fabricated it. Didn't matter. The damage was done. Patel turned to me. Mr. Carter, do you deny a personal relationship with Ms. Blake? I opened my mouth, closed it. If I lied, I was done. If I told the truth, Amelia's career, built on 30 years of clawing through glass ceilings, would shatter. She'd warned me once early on, scandals don't just hurt the man, Ethan. They bury the woman. I resign. Effective immediately. Gasps. Oliver's smirk faltered. Amelia finally looked up. Ethan, no, I cut her off. You made your choice. I walked out, didn't slam the door, just left my badge on the reception desk and took the stairs 32 flights down. My legs burned, but the pain felt honest. By noon, I was home. The apartment smelled like Rosie's crayons and yesterday's coffee. I sat on the couch, the same one Amelia had kissed me on, and stared at the wall until Rosie burst through the door at 3:15. Daddy, why are you sad? She asked, climbing onto the couch beside me. I'm not sad, kiddo. Just tired. She studied me with those two wise eyes. Is it because of Amelia? I swallowed. Yeah. Rosie was quiet for a long moment. Then Sheely doesn't like you anymore. The question gutted me. I pulled her into my lap. Grown-up stuff is complicated, Ro. Sometimes people get scared. She nodded solemnly. Like when T-Rex hides in the cave, exactly like that. That night I drafted my resignation email. 2 lines. Thank you for the opportunity. I wish the team continued success. I didn't sleep. Wednesday, Amelia called. I let it go to voicemail. She texted, "We need to talk." I didn't reply. Thursday, Rosie came home with a drawing me, her, and a blank space where Amelia used to be. She'd crossed out the third figure with black crayon. I don't want her in our family anymore, she said. I didn't correct her. Friday, I started job hunting. Freelance gigs, anything with flexible hours. The children's book sat untouched in its drawer. I couldn't look at it without seeing Amelia's handwriting in the margins. This line needs more heart. Saturday, I took Rosie to the planetarium. She fell asleep on my shoulder during the star show. I carried her home through falling snow, her breath warm against my neck. For the first time in weeks, I felt steady. I didn't know Amelia was about to show up at Rosie's school, didn't know she'd see the one thing that could break through her armor, a child's drawing of a family she'd never dared to imagine. But that was still a week away. For now, I was just a dad trying to hold it together, one quiet, painful step at a time. The snow started on a Tuesday in early December, soft and silent, the kind that makes Chicago feel like a snow globe someone forgot to shake. I was at the kitchen table, laptop open, applying for freelance gigs while Rosie colored beside me. She'd been quieter since the drawing incident. No more mentions of Amelia, no more spaceship sketches. I told myself it was better this way. Cleaner. The school called at 2:47 p.m. Mr. Carter Rosie's art is being featured in the winter exhibit. Parents are invited from 3 to 4. I almost said no. The idea of standing in a room full of proud moms and dads while my kid showed off a picture of our broken little family felt like salt in a wound. But Rosie tugged my sleeve. Please, Daddy, I made something special. So we went. Lincoln Elementary's gym had been transformed into a makeshift gallery, construction paper snowflakes dangling from the ceiling, folding tables covered in butcher paper, every wall plastered with crayon masterpieces. Rosie dragged me straight to the back corner where a single sheet hung under a paper sign. My Family by Rosie Carter. Jiriji, wait. I stopped breathing. It was us. Me in my old flannel shirt, Rosie in her dinosaur pajamas, and Amelia, unmistakable with her sharp cheekbones and bun, standing between us in the kitchen. We were laughing. Steam rose from a pot on the stove. In the corner, Rosie had written, "Home" in purple marker. I knelt. "Ro, this is—" "I know you're sad," she whispered, "but Amelia made us happy. I wanted to show her." Before I could answer, a shadow fell over us. I looked up, and there she was, Amelia Blake in a navy coat dusted with snow hair loose, for once eyes red-rimmed. She stared at the drawing like it might vanish if she blinked. "No one's ever drawn me happy," she said, voice barely above the gym's chatter. Rosie stepped forward. "You can have it, if you want." Amelia crouched eye level with my daughter. "I'd like that very much." I stood throat tight. "What are you doing here?" She met my gaze. "I quit." The words hit harder than any board meeting. "You what? Resigned Monday, clean break." She pulled a folded letter from her pocket, Atlas Media letterhead, her signature at the bottom. "I'm done pretending I don't feel things." Rosie tugged Amelia's sleeve. "Does this mean you're not mad at Daddy anymore?" Amelia's laugh was half sob. I was never mad at him, sweetheart. I was scared. I found my voice. You let them hang me out to dry. I know. She stepped closer, snow melting on her lashes. I thought if I stayed silent, I could protect us both. My career, your dignity, Rosie's stability. But all I did was lose you. She glanced at the drawing again. And I lost this. The gym noise faded. Just us three misfits in a sea of construction paper. I was wrong, she continued, about everything. Success isn't a penthouse or a title. It's soup on a Tuesday night and a kid who thinks T-Rex can be purple. She looked at me. It's you. I wanted to stay angry. God, I tried. But the fight had left me weeks ago somewhere between cold pizza and bedtime stories. What now, I asked. Now she smiled, small and real. I start over. With you if you'll let me. Rosie slipped her hand into Amelia's. You can help Daddy finish the book. The T-Rex needs a friend. Amelia's eyes filled. I'd like that. We left the exhibit together. Rosie between us, her mittened hands in both of ours. The snow had thickened, blanketing the city, and hush. I didn't ask where we were going. Didn't need to. 2 weeks later, a moving truck pulled up to my building. Amelia's belongings, shockingly few, filled 3 boxes and a garment bag. She kept the couch from her old place. Said it reminded her of our first kiss. She launched Blake and Carter children's books from my dining table. First title, The T-Rex Who Learned to Roar. Softly illustrated by Rosie, written by me, edited by Amelia. Pre-orders crashed the website in 6 hours. January brought pancakes on Sundays and bedtime stories in 3 voices. Amelia never tried to replace Sarah. Photos of my wife stayed on the mantle. Rosie's questions about Mommy in heaven answered honestly. Amelia just added to the story, not rewrote it. One night in February, snow tapping the windows, Rosie asleep down the hall, Amelia found me in the kitchen staring at the coffee pot like it held answers. I have something, she said, nervous. She placed a small velvet box on the counter. Inside, a simple platinum band, no diamond. I'm not asking to be Rosie's mom, she said. I'm asking to be the person who makes her proud, who makes you proud, who stays. I took the ring, slipped it on her finger. It fit like it had always belonged there. Rosie found us the next morning, ring glinting under the kitchen light. Does this mean Amelia's staying forever? Looks like it, I said. Rosie considered this, then nodded. Good. T-Rex needs a pack. We laughed until we cried. Years later, when The T-Rex Who Learned to Roar softly hit the bestseller list, a reporter asked Rosie what inspired the story. She pointed to the framed drawing from 2nd grade, still hanging in our hallway, and said, My family. We're louder when we're quiet. Amelia squeezed my hand under the table. I squeezed back. Some love stories don't start with fireworks. They start with a drunk text at 2 a.m., a child's crayon masterpiece, and 2 broken people brave enough to choose each other anyway. This one started with a rescue. It ended with a family. And somewhere in the middle we learned that home isn't a place. It's the people who see your cracks and stay to fill them with light.